If you're looking for cutesy business advice, then you came to the wrong place. We are for amazing women founders, moms, wives, and entrepreneurs with growing businesses. We're here to share all of our stories, the struggles and the triumphs, raw and unfiltered. Our goal to inspire, empower, and help you learn something along the way. This is Entrepreneu, the podcast, and we are the Entrepreneu crew. What's up, y'all? We are back with another episode of Entrepreneu. We are here with the Entrepreneu crew.
Yes.
We got
Oyinade,
Khadija,
myself, Kia-Shun,
and Britt.
Okay, and we are going to be talking about mass production.
Who child?
So in the last episode, we talked about how to take that idea to bring forth that prototype.
Mm-hmm.
But now, once you kind of flushed out some of the details, then what do you need to do to take that to mass production? Who's going to start?
I can start us off.
Okay.
Because for me, like I mentioned before, I already knew like I need to find a manufacturer. I do want to get these mass produced. I do want to have a good amount of inventory starting out, right? I was like, I set some big lofty goals for myself. Starting out, I was like, my first year, I'm going to do at least 100K in sales.
Wow.
So I had planned for that. I did more than double that.
That's great. Oh my God.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you. Yes. My first full year in business.
How the
And
heck you do that? We'll get into it.
we'll definitely get into all of that.
I know, like, oh my
Yeah.
God. This is why you didn't want us to share our stories.
Yeah, because it's so possible, right? Especially if you're prepared, you're doing your research, you're listening to people, to podcasts, and you're learning what you need to learn to set yourself up for success. So I was like, I want to get these mass produced. And I just had a feeling, I was just like, as a mom, there is no way that I had other like mom friends who were pregnant and having kids and things like that. I was like, there is no way that other people aren't going to want these like
Absolutely.
I do.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So, with
Can you make them for pets?
oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. You know, the pet community, they can be real crazy.
Let's talk about that.
I'm not a pet person, but don't come for me, please. But they can be real crazy.
I already came for her, guys.
So I wouldn't be surprised. But anyway, not to digress. So once I found my manufacturer, which I did after I got multiple samples from different manufacturers, and I decided, okay, these are the samples. This is a quality that I love. I then picked all the SKUs that I wanted to launch with. And so we launched with a line of satin line turbans, a collection for girls. I had two different styles, one with rib fabric and one with a regular cotton fabric. And then I had about 4 or 5 color options as well too, and only one size. And so that's how I started, just to kind of give you guys an idea, because now we have like over 130 SKUs.
Girl.
So yes, you remember like a SKU is a size, color, so it's like it adds up so quickly. The moment I add a new style, then it's like literally like I can have 20 SKUs from one style because of the sizes and colors. Exactly.
The headbands.
And the boys, like now we have
the
stuff for
beanies.
boys and things like that. So it's a lot, but we'll get there too. And so I negotiated my MOQs to 50 pieces per SKU. So it was manageable for me to like pay that first inventory cost. Yeah, it was. So you really, again, I found a manufacturer that was willing to work and grow with me. This is the kind of language that I used when I was looking for one. Hey, I'm starting out. I'm a small business. I'm looking for a manufacturer that I want to establish a long-term business relationship with. Literally like word for word. That's what I said. And, you know, can we negotiate for my first order or my first few orders? And then from there we can grow, right? And which is exactly what happened. So as I grew, my MOQs increased because I needed more inventory. And so I personally, and I think you guys are very different. one thing I would say I would do differently is having the right agreements in place.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of went off of this like, this is a relationship built on trust.
No, man.
I love
There is no such thing.
No, man.
There is no such thing. There is no such thing. And so, we had, just like written agreements, like via text, like messaging back and forth, but nothing formal, nothing legalized. So please do have your NDAs, have your manufacturer agreements. These documents can cost a pretty penny. Hopefully y'all have some advice on how to save on that kind of thing, on those kind of things. But, I got started, ordered my first set of cues. I would also say I was able to do my packaging with my manufacturer too. So I didn't want to have to source for so many different people to put things together. So I got a ready to ship product from one manufacturer.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So
that is so great.
It is really important.
That is so great.
It is, because when you're like,
makes life
you just have to, it makes it easier, because now I just had to manage just one person, one manufacturer. And I did all my designs and stuff on Canva. Just my favorite, literally, tool for any entrepreneur. From a creative aspect, Canva, I do everything on Canva. Like, shout out to her.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing.
For everything.
Right? From branding to design to whatever it is.
I'm used to the suite, to the Photoshop, the Illustrator.
Adobe.
I still use Canva.
Canva, yeah. It's gosh. If you're not using Canva, you need to be using Canva. But I'll be surprised if you're not.
Yeah, by now everybody should be.
So I had a ready to ship product. And then that was basically like my manufacturing experience. For me, was very straightforward. I spent a lot of time just kind of finalizing the details of the product. So like, the sizing of each, of the turbines, the color options and things like that. I will say, when you're selling like a physical product like that, always ask for product swatches. So once I figured out the manufacturer I wanted, I got their color swatches for all the fabrics. So I could feel the fabric. I could look at the actual colors in real time, because the photos, and you're not always going to have the same color when it's produced. So you don't want any surprises. Okay. I have learned a lot from my mistakes in seeing pictures and approving things. No, you have to ship it to me. I have to approve, and then you have to remake a sample and then ship that sample to me. It takes more time, but it saves you in the long run.
I was just writing a note here to say, slow down. Want to skip a step that can end up costing you thousands of dollars. Okay.
Which has happened to me before.
Yeah.
When I launched my jersey beanies for boys, I was working with a new manufacturer.
Right.
And I completely skipped the whole finalized sample step. I got preliminary steps because I was rushing to meet a deadline, my launch deadline that I set for myself.
Yes.
Couple $1,000s in inventory right there that I was like, I don't want to sell this. What am I going to do now? So it does cost you in the long run. So definitely do just slow down, be patient, take the time with your samples and approving your products before going all in with like your full order. Some manufacturers will also allow you to pay a deposit to start the order, and then you pay the rest before they ship. Some will make you pay for the full order once they start. It just differs.
Don't do that.
Please know, because I just ran into this issue. That your shipping sometimes is not included in that pricing, and shipping can be very expensive. I'm talking like over $1,000, and it won't be in the quote.
Well, the clarification on the shipping, because they may say shipping, but it may not be clear as to what they mean by shipping.
So, like for me, my example, I did pay for shipping, but it was just from the factory to the agent.
Yes,
not from the factory to the U.S.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I had 2 separate shipping costs. So definitely
very clear.
have clarification on that because your girl is pissed. But my
was pissed, y'all.
business besties had to bring me back down. Like, no, this is actually the way it's done.
Or one of the ways it can be done.
One of them.
But it made me feel better knowing like she wasn't trying to get over.
Because that's not your case.
Yeah, it's not my case. And for me, I learned that lesson before. Every time I get a quote for a product, literally what I want in front of my door includes the shipping costs, customs costs, everything. I want that in my cost of goods. I factor it into that.
Which we call
COGS, right? And so when I get a quote, it includes the full shipping. So I have no surprises on the cost. And then I also don't have to deal with customs clearance. It's not the cheapest way to go about it. And there's also different shipping types. Like you can ship by air or by sea.
This girl up here be shipping by air, y'all.
I ship by air.
Air is, look, these two ship by air and Kia-Shun and I are like, y'all tripping.
They are tripping.
See me all day.
Air costs 3 to 4 times as
It
much.
does.
It really just depends on the product and like how much it is and how heavy it is. Because like for me, the bars are
really very heavy. Yeah.
And so that 2 boxes could cost me $1,500 to ship.
But even for me, and I'm fabric, it's $800 on air.
I say 2 boxes, but there's only like 40 products in 2 boxes.
That's what I mean, and that's only 4 rolls of fabric. When I order 30 rolls of fabric, I'm spending over $3,000 for air shipping. When by sea is only a couple $100, maybe $500.
And I've shipped like literally like 15,000 units, and my shipping cost was like maybe $5,000 or $6,000.
But remember, it's because you get that, and that's a lot. When by sea, it could be like
it would be a fraction of the cost.
It would be $700.
But have way more planning in place.
You do sometimes as a small business, especially when you're ordering. I'm not just holding inventory in bulk all the time, and so I need my lead times to be as short as possible. And so shipping by air gets you your product faster.
Like a week.
Shipping by sea is like a month plus.
But the key to that is to when you can plan ahead, because I've learned to plan ahead because of that. Do it.
Yes, you absolutely should go the cheapest route.
Because when you go from
for shipping
to 400
in terms of cost, like don't cut corners. But shipping by sea, obviously, if I had the operational infrastructure in place, I would ship by sea, if I could afford that lead time. And that's what I'm working towards. You know what I mean? So there's a ton of things in the whole manufacturing process, from like getting it made to getting it to you. I've just found ways to make it as easy as possible for me, or simple as possible for me. I get a fully packaged product ready to go to my customer to my door in like max 2 weeks.
That's good.
But how did you find your manufacturer?
Yeah, so I didn't touch on that.
No.
Yeah, so I
worked on it.
I did a little bit, I think, on our last episode, but I've worked with like manufacturers before. So I went through my contacts. I looked for manufacturers in Pakistan, ones that I've worked with before, and then referrals to manufacturers in China. And then I've also used Alibaba as well too. And so, and we talked a little bit about Alibaba, but it's a great way to find a manufacturer overseas. It's not just China. They have other countries as well too that are established. But what's really important is that because they're not all created equal, is looking at their ratings, looking at the amount of years they've been in business, and then having those initial conversations with them to see where they are willing to negotiate with you. When you start talking to them, you will get an idea of like, okay, is this someone that I can grow with? Or is this someone I'm doing a quick side hustle? 2 different styles, right?
Let me give a tip, if I might. So a lot of the Alibaba sellers, like the manufacturers, will be on WhatsApp. I would say keep your conversation in the app, because if they don't reply or if they're being slow to reply, they get dinged. It makes their response time slows down.
Oh, okay. I actually didn't know that.
It
slows down, makes them look bad. But as soon as you take it in the WhatsApp, they respond how they want to, when they want to. But if you want, keep it in the app as much as you can.
That's really good. I actually didn't know that. When you do have more of an established relationship with your manufacturer, for example, I talk to my manufacturers via email or WhatsApp, because now it's like you're actually integral part of my bit. Like you are now. We're partners. We're partners, right? So you're invested in my success, right? Just as much as I'm invested in giving you more business. You know what I mean? Creating more products with you. I'm not going to look for someone else. I'm going to develop with you. The relationship I have with my now manufacturer, literally, they will say, "Oh, this is what's new in the fabric space," right? They're a baby and children's goods manufacturer, so they make other children's things. So I can really grow and diversify my product offerings with them. And just like they bring ideas to me, I'm constantly making samples, right? Whether I put them out or not. I'm like, well, I like this. What do you think about this? And they'll make it work.
You got a house full of samples over there. I already know.
I have a house full of samples of stuff, of products, because we're going to be in different categories. But they're really great. And my first manufacturer, even though the product was amazing, they lacked integrity. So, I said I didn't have my legal paperwork in place with the first one. They actually started selling my beanies on other marketplaces under their brand. And I didn't find out until I just happened to, your phone is listening to you. We're all being spied on online, So I saw, I don't know, I just came across a posting and I was like, what the heck? This is literally what they would do is anytime they made my products to ship to me, they would change the label. Change the label and sell it under their name. And I told them, I was literally fighting with them, telling them that, like, you cannot, this is wrong. They're like, well, no, it's, there's adult beanies. Why can't we make our own? I'm like, this is my intellectual property. Like, you're not just creating your own. You're making more excess of mine.
Because we have a contract for you to produce mine.
Yeah. Right. And so I couldn't, they were not. Literally, they're like, well, any new thing you come up with, we're not going to do. I'm like, what makes you think I'm going to continue this relationship with you? Nothing back. Like, I'm not giving you anything back. But one thing I would say I learned from that is it was so infuriating. It was so, when someone steals from you, that's like, it was so upsetting. I was ready to be like, well, F you, you're not getting any of my money. But that was going to impact my business. I still needed my product. I still needed to get this to my customers. So I took my time. I did not part ways from them. I did not let them know I was even parting ways from them for a good 6 to 9 months until I established a new secure relationship with the manufacturer I could trust and slowly transition. And they just never got an order from me ever again.
I have questions. So, because I'm like literally going through this. So I am in the process of switching manufacturers. I promise you the stuff that you're saying is so like relative to what I'm going through right now. The product that I get now is A1. But one thing Kia-Shun is helping me with that I want you guys to know too is that sometimes the cultural differences and the language, the differences can make you feel like they're speaking a certain way to you and vice versa, when really that's just how they talk. But I'm in the mindset of like, y'all know what y'all doing sometimes. Like, so anyway, I'm in the process of moving manufacturers and I have tested samples and stuff like that. How did you deal with that? Because I'm actually very nervous, right? Because I love the products of the manufacturer that I'm moving away from. I don't want to disappoint my customers because they like the product. Yeah. How did you deal with that like movement, even over the span of 9 months? For the customer, it's going to be for you, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a quick switch, even if it's taking that time to do it. At some point, the product changes.
Yeah. Well, for me, it was first like a mindset thing because I had made myself believe that they were the only ones that could make that quality product for me, and that's just not true. It's not true. Where that comes from is feeling comfortable in a place that's working for you, in a situation that's working well for you, and being afraid to deviate from that because, hey, this could really impact my business somehow, right? But what I did was I approached it in a smart way. I didn't let that affect my business relationship with them because I still wanted to keep all that going. I just started looking and getting samples from other manufacturers. I did the process almost from scratch, right? Until I actually found a manufacturer that was trustworthy, that I could establish the correct legal documents with, that could literally make a better quality product. And then what I realized was like, wow, not only can it be great, it can be even better.
You did it from scratch, but you did it from scratch knowing exactly what you wanted. So it's a little bit easier.
That's true.
They should be able to match your quality,
exactly.
the quality that you're already getting. Yeah. You're providing them with.
And that's another thing too that I left. I sent them my current product. Them a
sample.
I sent them all of my SKUs, and I was like, "This is what I have right now." And because they weren't even doing that, they didn't necessarily need my business. They wanted my business. They established a whole new process to create my products, to manufacture my products, to sew my products. And that just showed me like, this is a good business partner. Because they make accessories and clothing for brand name national brands in babies and children's goods. None of them are making my products. So they saw a lot of potential and they were willing to work with me. And they sourced, the good thing about them is that not only could they source similar fabric, they are fabric producers. They could dye to the exact colors that I want. And they actually make like natural fibers like bamboo, organic cotton, things that my other manufacturer could never do. They don't do that. They actually buy fabric, right, from a vendor, and they make it. They don't produce. So they produce fabric, so the quality is even better. Not only that, I could never grow to the extent that with that old manufacturer, with this manufacturer, because of their capabilities. You have to understand, like, when you're looking for a manufacturer, what are their capabilities? Think bigger than what you...
Yeah, you have to.
Where you think you're starting.
It's so funny because I'm nail bed size inclusive, I'm wanting to make sure that I can get an even bigger thumb size because some people's thumbs are just bigger. And if I'm inclusive, I got to include it all, smaller and bigger. So in my searching for my new manufacturers, I'm making sure that they have more capabilities. Like they can... I've literally been talking to them. They're like, we can create whatever you want. And I'm like, whoa.
You just have the money.
That's why I'm step by step, doing a little bit at a time. But if I can talk about mine, because I think mine go.
Yes,
because y'all stories are very detailed. And I want to make sure y'all have the time to get into it. Mine's pretty quick. I'm glad that you went first because so many of the things you said, I was like, yep. So I did the same thing with like ordering samples and things like that and like testing them out. My biggest thing was like forming the relationships or the relationship with the manufacturer I'm trying to move away from. I don't know, y'all. I might keep her.
No.
You got to keep her as a backup. Sure.
I have not like told her that I'm leaving or anything like that. I'm still keeping it cordial and da-da-da-da. But it's just... That's why I need y'all.
You can do better. That's the thing. Like, you think you can't see it now, but you can.
But press on nails, it's expensive. And I mean, I'm sure you guys know things are expensive. It's just expensive. So I'm talking like, $10K.
Now, wait, are you thinking about keeping her because of how we told you that the communication just may be a little different, and before you didn't take that into consideration?
I didn't take it into consideration. And I feel like it's worth... I'm glad we're talking about manufacturers because this is real. Like, I feel like it's worth calling her and having an actual, like, conversation. Like, hey, I want to move forward, but I think we need to clarify some things or just give me some clarity. Because I really like her, and I did the same thing you did. Like, when I did the testing and the samples and things, and I really liked the samples that I received, I was able to negotiate MOQ, which is a big deal because a lot of these brands, like when I was Googling the other other press-on nails that are getting manufactured, I found some of their manufacturers and would reach out to them, and the MOQ for nails was $10,000, which is really, really expensive. Like really expensive. I needed an MOQ of about 20.
Yeah.
Like I was starting out. So
were there MOQs like per pack or by, like individual nail or each nail size?
No, per pack.
Per pack, okay.
Why I am so back and forth on this topic is because I'm literally going through it right now. Like I'm starting all over again with trying to find a new manufacturer. And so I don't want to make the same mistakes. Like I didn't do any legal stuff with the last
either.
But I want to do that moving forward. And so it's like learning how to do all of that stuff. Like if you've never done it before,
You don't know.
You don't know
what you don't know.
and honestly, until I met y'all, I didn't even think like, oh dang, I should have some type of legal. But my brain goes, well, how in America are they going to hold China responsible legally?
It's hard, but it's doable.
It's not even just about it being enforceable. It also makes the manufacturer know and believe you are serious. Okay, you are standing on
your
business.
Yes.
Okay, so they will be less likely to play with you
True.
if you take a certain approach as well too. They would see you as a serious business owner, just like how you can see them as a serious manufacturer. And to be quite honest, if they are a professional manufacturer and they have multiple companies, you know what I mean, brands that they work with, they don't even need legal paperwork to know to not do certain things, right? I'm not saying that you shouldn't have it in place or whatever, but if they are actually professionals, they operate like professionals. Okay, so if anything, there are ways to make it more enforceable. Like instead of an NDA, it's called an NNN agreement. When you're dealing with an overseas manufacturer in China, and it's also written or translated in Chinese.
Me and Kia-Shun have gone through 4 different manufacturers.
So when I say manufacturer though, mine is kind of different because for me, so I have two manufacturers basically, but I have in China they do my bars, they do the semi bars, and then over here they do right down the street. Me and Britt yesterday they make my mats, but I think what's different between your story and mine, is that I am still like buying all the zippers. I'm still buying the strapping. I'm still buying.
I definitely don't do that either.
The fabric. I'm buying the foam. So the foam comes from a place here in Dallas. The fabric actually, I was getting it from a place in Chicago, but they were so expensive. They were like $14.99 a yard. And then I loved their fabric, and so I couldn't give it. I was like, man.
I can tell you how to find out where they got it.
No, Import Yeti.
Okay, you found it from there. Okay,
Import Yeti, which is a website where they can tell you where.
Import Yeti, y'all. You can find out where a lot of people make a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
like where they're getting it from.
I use that too.
Import Yeti.
Okay,
that's not what I was talking about, but yes.
Okay, what?
Because some people get slick about it. And Import Yeti don't pick it up.
Yeah, but anyway, I ended up reaching out to the people who are supplying the Chicago, and they were like, "Well, we already have a contract in place with them, so we can't." The same fabric that we give them or whatever, which is what they're supposed to do with their
that's yes.
But I ended up sending fabric swatches to India, and they make the colors and like the fabric a little bit closer for what I want. But I'm still like running the whole supply chain.
Yeah, I was gonna say you have a whole supply chain.
I don't do that. Well,
see, I do it
that now with my like finding a new one because I'm not. So for like my glue has to be A1.
Yeah,
my adhesive tabs have to be A1 because my customers expect that at this point. So like your piece mailing, I've been having to do that just to test different manufacturers' glue and tabs and things like that. So, but before. It was the same. Like, it came to my door ready to mail off.
Mhm.
Now,
That's what I'm doing with the V-Box, though. Like, the packaging and everything is going, like, when the V-Box gets...
Y'all confused about this V-Box,
I'll talk about the V-Box more later, but when it gets here, it's going to be
ready to ship.
Yes.
So that is... I'm feeling relieved about that already, just because
it's such a relief.
It's such a big task to get put together and get to the customer. But yeah, so I order all of these materials and then I have it sent to my cut and sew
manufacturer
here in Dallas, which I like because they were actually a business. They're my second manufacturer. The first one I told y'all about in the other episode where they were like, we don't care about your customers.
Yeah.
So I chunked them the deuces and found this one. And you see how we interact, Britt, like when I go in there.
Y'all, this man said, let me show you something. It was a picture of Kia-Shun, the same screensaver she has on her phone. He has as her profile picture. She is in what country?
I was in Costa Rica.
In the pool.
In the
yes,
like, looking all beautiful, and that's his picture.
But but when I walk in there, I'd be like, "Hey, man, with the master plan, like we have such a good."
Oh yeah,
that's really good.
I'm just supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know, I love my baby. It's always good to have more than one.
You gotta have more.
Yes.
I'm learning that.
You gotta have more.
That's it. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
If I didn't have more than one, I would be screwed right now. But go ahead, Kia-Shun.
But yeah, so I send everything to him, the foam, everything that needs to be to make the mat, and then he makes it for me. What I love about it is that I don't really have a minimum order quantity. I can be like,
me too.
Hey, can you make 25 of these, you know, this color. Whereas if I was getting it from China, I gotta order 500 at a time, you know, at a time. But what I was going to say was what I love about our relationship or keeping it here is that he was actually struggling, like his business was struggling, and he was going to close. But then ShampooTime came knocking at the door.
And that's why you have your own big old section.
And I was able to keep it afloat until, you know, things got better after the pandemic. So we have such a really tight relationship.
Wow.
And people tell me all the time, like, you could, you know, mentors, you can save so much more money if you go overseas. Which I haven't really found that to be true quite yet, just because of the size and whatnot. But I can save some money going overseas. However, the relationship that we have and the fact that I can call him up or send him a message in the middle of the night if I have something on my mind, you know, I love that relationship.
And you can pull up.
And I pull up.
Standing on business.
That's another thing, right? You can go. That's cool.
That's so. And that's why
I'm still planning my trip to China.
That's why I was like, I need to be here in the U.S. because I need to be able to pull up. Yeah. So I agree with you.
Right down the street.
Because now we got to go. Who did I say? Was it me? Who was that? I was talking to somebody who said we was going to China.
We gotta go.
Yeah, we gotta go. I gotta go. I'm literally still planning my trip because I want to go.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. And India.
That would be so dope if we did a business trip to China.
Yes, we have to.
To Tianjin specifically.
Okay, I don't know where exactly.
I need to go to Singapore.
I have to go wherever my bars are being made.
But yes,
when it comes to the bars, I told you I went to Home Depot. I was piecing together these bars, and I was gluing the vinyl fabric around the poles that I bought, and it was just such a tedious task. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. Now, after I was having those thoughts, the girl out of Florida came out with her copycat shampoo mat.
Y'all gonna get those too.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about.
We'll talk about that later.
But she came out and I'm going to tell you one thing that's good about copycats or competitors or whatever, is that she came out with a bar and it's the bar that I use today, right? Because it was exactly what I wanted, but I didn't know how to go about getting it.
So I couldn't believe it. We're just like shocked. Like this tall man is like throwing our stuff. Needless to say, that was a horrible situation. We left. We got our turbans. My partner was like, Khadija, pull the car around. We're getting out of here. Load the car. And I was like,
throwing your turkey.
Yes, he's throwing it. So then his partner, his like marital partner comes and he's like, you are tripping. These women are trying to pay you. Calm down. This is not that serious. They're not threatening you. He's like, I'm calling the police. I said, sir, please call the police. Call the police. Please call them. Right? God. It was a whole situation. Mm-hmm. Needless to say, we paid our balance, not what he wanted. Paid the fair balance, and we left, and we went to the Cheesecake Factory
to celebrate.
And we were like, "Oh my gosh, can you believe this?"
That's crazy.
That was the most traumatic situation. Yeah. So then we were like, "Okay, we gotta." So then I was like, "We gotta find," and I had no backup at that point. It was just him, and that. Shout out to everybody who bought the first version of Aqua Headwear because y'all are riders. Because that version. Woo child.
And we talked about that first version.
That first version. And then y'all came back to keep supporting. And that's why we have our 42% return customer rate. So thank you.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, that's a good
you know.
That's a good returning customer rate.
You know. So needless to say, so then I went to this company called Suchi at the time. Suchi was a broker of manufacturers. It's like cut and sew mills.
I never heard of it.
So Suchi back in the day, their thing was more technology. So you could like track if you had a deal with Suchi, you could track the progress of your production, like from start to finish online.
Oh,
you could see everything, which was amazing. And a lot of big brands were using Suchi. So we were like, all right, we'll pay Suchi. Suchi's amazing. Suchi connected us with my current manufacturer and another one that I had two at the time. So one of them he was great. The product was amazing, beautiful, perfection. Don't you know this fool? This fool, I ordered new production, right? A new production run. I was like, I need this because I had all these deals coming through with these big name people. And I'm like, I need this. I need inventory. He had a nerve to file bankruptcy after he took my 50% deposit. Ooh. So $14,000 out the window because he knew he was filing bankruptcy, which was shady. So it's like, you knew you were going to file bankruptcy. And I've been working with you for 2 years and you did amazing work and you really did. And thank God that he and my current manufacturer knew each other because she called me and was like, this person just called me asking if I could take over the production run, but what's going on? And I said, oh, really? And then I I contacted him, like, what's really going on? You need to be out because it took him 4 months to even just like get to this point. I'm like, he's usually like things out in like 2 weeks. It's like cranking out. Mm-hmm. And he was like, oh, well, I'm actually going to file bankruptcy. Listen, when I tell you this angel of my second production, my second cut and sew manufacturer, when I tell you she does work for everybody, every fashion that you have on your body, this woman produces like she makes the clothing for swimsuits, everything. And she's so meticulous, but she's always busy. But I, like you, Kia-Shun, when she found that out and she found out what he did to me, she was like, absolutely not. Yeah. We are not having this. You are too good of a person. Yeah. And because I was a good person and we had a relationship like you do with your manufacturer, I can just pull up. And she just like, oh, yes, blah, blah. And we're such good friends. And I look out for her when she's like in a downspout and she's like, I need blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, I'll order, 5,000, like whatever. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's like those relationships. And that's why I haven't gone overseas either because of her. Mm-hmm. And she's here in the U.S. in Jersey. And she is the most amazing person in the world. And she is honest and she does immaculate work. And she saved me even when I didn't have the money for a new production run. I was able to talk to her and say, can we do, instead of doing like a 50-50 kind of split, can I do 30% right now and then another 30? And then when I actually, can you give me like 6 weeks to like do the final payment?
Some manufacturers will give you. It is important.
Yeah.
No, that's so important.
Yeah.
That you said that because with the bead box, the mold is costing almost $20,000, right? And I'm like, I know I want this. I know this is going to be good, right? But I don't have that cash up front to run my business and spend this money on this. And so you cannot be afraid to ask.
You can.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, can I pay $8,000 here in 3 more months? Can I pay this? You know, and then, you know, I set it out like that. He was like, let me go ask the boss. And then he came back and they agreed to it.
You'd be surprised.
Be surprised what they will agree to if they feel like that. You know, you have a real partnership. If they see that, if they feel like they can really grow with you. Because he would tell me over and over, like, I feel like this could be something amazing. We can have great business together.
Exactly.
I'm like, I do too. And so
never be afraid to negotiate.
And the crazy part, you know who told me to do that? Because I didn't have the confidence to do that at first either. Target Accelerators, our mentor, girl, go in there and just ask for this and see what happens. And I did exactly what they said. And it worked. And I said, and not for Target and not for that experience and not for that mentorship moment, I would have thought that it wasn't possible to do what I want. And when I say
never be afraid to ask,
she was okay with it. She was like, oh no, we have a great relationship, whatever. And he was like, and tell her, like, you don't want to go overseas. You don't want to do, you really appreciate your relationship. And I do, because she does immaculate her work.
You can get so far with transparency in a business relationship.
Yes.
Yeah.
So far.
And because of her, it's like, I can go to her and be like, I need 10 today. And she'll be like, all right, no problem.
Yeah.
No charge. Just 10. You know what I mean? I can go to her and I'll be like, I need 55. And she'll be like, okay, I'll make them. There's no minimum with her. And that's like, or I can be like, I need 5,000. And she'll be like, okay, 3 weeks. You know?
And if you don't take anything away from this episode today, is take away and negotiate.
Yeah.
Like, what can you do? What can't you do? Don't be afraid to hear the word no. Like, my mom, it's so funny because my mom says, I'll negotiate everything. Like, I'll go to the store, get to the cash register, I'll be like, is it 10% off Tuesday?
Exactly. Me too.
Sometimes it really works. It does.
Right? And when you say it, and then you just stop and stare at them.
Yeah, they laugh and they like, you know what?
It is 10% Tuesday.
You know?
You just give a blank stare like.
Sometimes it doesn't work, but you just never know.
Never know.
Like,
yo, people don't like silence. People do not like silence. And I do negotiation for a living.
Yeah. But the thing with negotiating too is always start with what you need, what's going to work for you, and then see where you can meet the other person, right? In the middle. But not just even negotiating what you can pay, but like when you can pay. A lot of established manufacturers too, they will have financing options. Essentially, that's what it is. You can actually ask for net 30. Like, I place my order now, I get it, I pay you 30 days out. So you're not even paying up front for the goods. And then you can do things like run a pre-sale on your products.
No, we're going to talk about that.
We will talk about it.
We're going to get
but you can get the cash up front, right? Get the cash somehow. But net 30, you do it. Hey, can I pay you net 30, net 60? Ask how far can they? Because especially the established manufacturers, they have that room. They have a lot of clients, so they have the operating capital to say, we can produce your goods. We can front the cost, and then you pay us when you have the money. After. Oftentimes it's after, but and that's because they need trust.
I haven't worked with the beauty box manufacturer before, and he is allowing me to do this amount here in 3 months, this amount.
You never know.
So he's not allowing you to pay in 30 days later after it's been produced.
Yeah, usually like they also want to build trust too. Yes.
I mean, kind of. It's actually even more because they're producing it now. I'm not paying them, and I'm not finishing the payment until December. So it's more than 30. But
and if you are also an established business yourself, or you present yourself that way too, and you're coming up with, well, this is what I need, right? In this relationship, can you do it or not? So it's not always.
You have to do good business. Be a good person.
Yes. A good person. People like good people, and people will help good people.
People will help
good people.
Also, just be aware that folks are out here ready to take advantage of you.
They are. But as long as you're doing your part, like sometimes bad things do happen to good people.
Of course.
Yeah,
it happens to all of us.
From that traumatic experience with your manufacturer, a lot of lessons to be learned, including, like you said, negotiate.
I have a question before we go. What's that? What's the Because one thing I'm considering now is having a liaison between me and the manufacturer. What's you guys' opinions on doing that?
You said you have one? Go ahead.
The guy who does the bars, he's considered an agent in China. And so he is coordinating between me, the customer, what I want, and the factory who's actually making it.
And what's the benefit?
He's boots on the ground over there. You know how I said I can pull up on my manufacturer here. He's pulling up on the manufacturer there. If something's wrong, like I sent him a picture of, I'm getting to the end of the bars that I have here. I sent him a picture of a bar that was scratched. I'm like, hey, or it wasn't all the way painted. I'm like, hey, I know y'all doing a new run. Make sure. Don't none of them get sent over here like that.
Exactly.
Y'all are hand putting these into the plastic so you can see what they look like.
You see exactly. You see.
And so his response was very positive. Like, I will make sure
that this does not happen.
And then also, let me tell you this: the first order that came to me of bars, they didn't have it in the plastic. Half of them was scratched. I couldn't even use them. No. Do you know they made the whole order over?
Yeah.
Didn't charge me a thing.
Good.
Yeah.
But
that is a good professional manufacturer.
That is
exactly. And a good agent, because he's like, hey, let me go talk to
that mistake in the first place. Because what?
I don't think they had never done it before. So they weren't.
No, but they'll do that. I have bags like that, and they were like dirty inside. And I'm like, and I didn't know until I got to the last box. It was like 1,000 bags that were like stained and had dust inside. I'm like, I can't use these.
So there's a benefit to having a liaison.
For sure.
I think I have one.
There's definitely a benefit, right? I don't have one, but the person I deal with directly at my manufacturer, she's almost like a liaison.
Yeah.
She troubleshoots with the people who are actually sewing, with her managers, with the shipping agents. So she's almost like my liaison, but she happens to work directly for the manufacturer. But it is good to have an intermediary, right, to kind of communicate your needs between. But I do think that you shouldn't leave out the relationship that you can have directly with the manufacturer. It's still important for you to have a relationship with them, because they should still know, like, the owner. You should still have a relationship with them, or someone on your team, right? As you grow, you're big, you're not going to be dealing with it directly, right? But you should still have a presence there, in addition to that liaison. We dropped a lot of good resources that we use. And so maybe we just do a quick roundup in case we didn't mention one. I know I talked about Canva.
You did.
Literally use Canva for everything. So I recommend that.
I would say, manufacturing wise, have your legal documents in order if you can. If you can have a manufacturing agreement in order, if you can have an NDA in order to help you along the process in advance, it'll be very, very beneficial.
And I would recommend, like, in terms of resources, especially starting out, sites like LegalZoom and Upwork.
Not like the legal.
Yeah.
Well,
I had a bad experience with them. I've actually heard lawyers say, if you can't, avoid LegalZoom.
I found Business in a Box. Now,
yes.
Okay.
I've heard that's amazing.
It's expensive if you want access to, like, all their contracts and stuff. But if you just need, like, one or two, it's very inexpensive.
Actually, someone from our cohort shared it with me.
Really? Okay. Well, yeah, I've just found them just Googling. And that's the NNN that I use for, which I believe NNN is like non-compete,
non-use and non-disclosure.
So, which is better in China.
Absolutely.
Than an NDA.
Yeah, exactly. Than non-disclosure.
So I shared Fiverr, which I've used Fiverr to get my website done, to get 3D mock-ups, to get designs, I've used Fiverr for so much. It's been very beneficial. And then I feel like I said Import Yeti.
Yes.
Yes. See who your competitors are getting their goods from, what manufacturers they use. You can use Import Yeti.
Oh, and Maker's Row. I forgot to say that. Remember?
You did say
Maker's Row. Maker's Row to find cut and sew manufacturers in the U.S.
Okay.
I think I mentioned using Alibaba.com to source for some manufacturers. We all did.
I love Alibaba.com.
So do I. I'm a big fan of Alibaba.com. And then my advice, based off of my experience, would be, and talking to these ladies, that sometimes the cultural and language differences can make you feel like the relationship is a little tumultuous.
Yeah.
But
It can sound very harsh, but I don't think they mean it like that.
Yeah.
you can. But also be smart, because sometimes they know what they're doing.
Is there a resource to find a liaison? Right.
I
don't know. I'll look it up.
Okay.
We'll tag it.
I would love a resource to find a liaison.
We'll tag
I think
it.
that would be beneficial for me.
For me, so I know for me, because when I look for my fabric in India, I used our business group resource, which was from one of the programs I was in. So get into some programs. We'll talk about that.
We will.
And drop some messages in there. And, people know people.
People know people.
Yes, they do.
So Cosmoprof is a big convention. Oh, there's a resource. It's a big convention for the beauty world. Hair, makeup, nails, whatever. They have a big one in Asia. And when I was sourcing for new manufacturers this year, I was like, I want somebody on the ground. I went to Fiverr looking for an agent that could be on the ground to go to Cosmoprof and actually look at these samples and stuff like that. So I thought maybe that would be a good place to look for someone to be a liaison that speaks very clear English and Mandarin.
Yeah. Last thing I'm going to say is check out my podcast interview with Alibaba.com.
Yes, she sure did do one.
Yes, she did
so
do
I
one.
would agree with Alibaba.com. They, like I said, they've been very instrumental in my entrepreneur journey. So we'll talk about that more. But I'll link that down below. So with that, we are hungry. Y'all hungry?
Yes.
We are
starving.
Yes. We hope that this episode has been very beneficial. Don't forget to like, subscribe, do all the things. And we'll see y'all next time.
Until next time.